Good evening and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Hartford Plan Commission. I see we have a full group, so that's a wonderful thing. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask for the review of the minutes of April 8th, 2024. If we would move to approve make the motion, Ralph, second by Brian. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. I'm going to take just a moment to turn the ringer off of my phone, just to make sure I don't have a Dennis Heggie moment. Let's see. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, I'm picking on Dennis, he's not here. At this time, we will offer appearances. Any citizen of the city of Hartford or a business that is specifically going to have business with the city, welcome to come up. And you get 3 glorious minutes. And we have our own Mr. Doug Carroll.
I'm Doug Carroll. I'm here representing the Hartford Joint 1 Schools at 402 West Sumner Street. Just here to be in support of item 6 on your agenda tonight, and I'd appreciate your approval for that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. This has to be brief. This is for the citizens of the city of Hartford.
I understand, but what's coming on the agenda tonight, I think, really has to do with me. For any of you that don't know me, later in the thing, there's going to be a concept plan around Pheasant Run, the 4200 North Main Street.
Name and address?
Mine is Carrie Jostin, and I'm at 4160 North Main Street. I'm that house that's right in the middle of that entire property.
You bet.
Right. And I'm just asking you guys, as we move forward and we start talking about this, to continue to consider and be considerate to somebody who's been in there for 25 years. We've worked really hard to make our property a great place. And looking at the concept plan, it's not horrible, except for the north side, where you're trying to put 4 houses on 1 acre along our north. So I'm just asking you to take some consideration when you're looking at that tonight. And if you have any questions about the property or the area, I'm more than willing to answer those questions.
I'm going to quote you, seeing you're online, as not horrible. Thank you.
It's not horrible, but there's still some room for improvement.
Okay, thank you very much. All righty. So, hello, sir. This is normally for citizens of the city of Hartford, so I am either assuming you have that or something very brief to state.
Yeah, I'm representing Pearl of Canton on Jackson Street with their sign.
Okay,
And they're
and
looking
your
for approval.
and your name and address?
My name is Richard Beringer,
Okay,
and we're looking for permission to remove the little bit of an ugly temporary sign and put up a better sign.
Awesome.
oh, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. With that, any further appearances? Hearing none, we go to, excuse me, item 4, discussion and consideration of a sign permit for American Taekwondo at 17 North Main Street. And Jacob, are you handling those?
Yes, I am, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
All right, so we're looking at a proposed sign here at 17 North Main Street for American Taekwondo. The sign conforms to our code because it's in the Business Improvement District. It has to go before this body for review. It's 55 square feet. It matches you can't see it here except just the A, but it matches that sign pretty much, not font-wise, but it matches the size and scale of the sign next to it to the north. Yes, thank you. So that we are looking for approval on this sign as it meets all the standards and requirements.
Super, thank you. Okay, any questions, comments from our esteemed Plan Commission? If not, would look for a motion. Okay, we have a motion for approval from Ralph, second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 5, discussion and consideration of a sign permit for the Pearl of Canton at 46 East Jackson Street. I've gone to many restaurants. I've actually been to the Pearl of Canton, and it was a wonderful experience that they actually have the door open and you can sit there and eat now rather than just do takeout. So a a little bit of a plug for a local restaurant that did fine by us. So, thank you. Go ahead, please.
All right, again, the Pearl of Canton, which is at 46 East Jackson Street, they're within the bid boundaries, so as being in the Business Improvement District, this sign goes before the Plan Commission for review. The sign meets the codes. Because it's going on an awning, we are requesting that it just go for a review by our building inspector to make sure it's structurally sound. So we're asking for a condition for its approval with the condition that the sign will be installed to meet the IBC code requirements, and that the applicant will provide the building inspector with documentation that the sign meets the International Building Code requirements prior to installing the sign. Just because, again, it's on an awning, it's not actually structurally affixed to the structure. We don't want it falling on somebody's head.
That's appreciated. Thank you. Okay, any questions for staff? Yes, go ahead, please. Tony.
Just a quick question. As far as the lettering that's there now, the China Garden, is that vinyl lettering that as well? Or do we know that? I mean, seems to have stayed pretty well.
No, you can't answer from the audience. No, can't answer from the audience. So, go ahead. Do you know?
So,
I can invite him back up, but because we're televised, nobody can hear you unless you're standing at a microphone. I'm not trying to be a beastie. I'm just trying to let you know that that's why we do it that way. Go ahead, Jake.
so the question is, in regards to this sign specifically, or a pre-existing
Yeah,
sign?
The lettering is gonna go on the awning, correct?
Yep, correct.
So I'm just is that kind of the same lettering that's been there? The vinyl, is that vinyl lettering, do we know, or is that?
If you don't know, I can invite the gentleman up and he can explain it if you would like.
Please do.
Just seems.
Please do, did you say?
Yes, please do
Okay.
invite him up.
Sir, if you'd like to step up if you're familiar with the sign? Oh, yes. But you have to speak into the microphone so we can capture your glorious persona and everybody can hear you. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, the sign is actually a vinyl awning with the letters sewn into the awning, so you can't just remove them or without tearing the whole thing down. The proposed sign is gonna be aluminum with aluminum backing rails to support it with angles that go back to the main frame of the whole awning, so it'll be mounted very securely. But you can't change the letters on the awning without changing the whole thing.
Correct.
And the owner of the building will not let her mount it anywhere else on the building.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Super, thank you very much. Okay, now we know. And would look for action or non-action. Go ahead.
I motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alderperson Kohler, second by Tony. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 6, discussion and consideration of a site plan for the new maintenance building at 755 North Rural Street. Jacob.
Okay, so 755 South Rural Street is zoned I-1, which is industrial, it shouldn't say industrial, it should say institutional. I apologize for that mistake in the executive summary. The school district of Hartford is looking to develop a 1,500 square foot addition to an existing 3,028 square foot maintenance building located at the said property. There will also be an additional 3,125 square feet of asphalt surface adjacent to the addition. The property itself is 14.59 acres. It's the location of Lincoln Elementary School. And the last time anything occurred on this property was in 2019 after a successful referendum. There was an extension on the actual Lincoln Elementary learning facility itself. So this does meet all our requirements for setbacks and side yards. The major issue, it's not an issue, is just once they submit the final plans to our building inspector, they should include a landscape plan for the foundation plantings. The developer shall submit a parking landscape plan, if they are going over 5 square feet, or 5 parking spots, I believe most of it's just for a loading area, but if they do include more than 5 parking stalls, they should include a landscape plan for the parking lot, and then verify with the city engineer that the post-construction stormwater requirements for the proposed development are being met by for the city's requirements. Other than that, we we recommend the approval of the planned expansion of the maintenance shed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any question for staff? Seeing none, would look for a motion to move forward. Motion by David, second by Brian. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, thank you. Item number 7, discussion and consideration of an extraterritorial certified survey map at 7542 Waterford Road in the town of Hartford. Jacob.
All right, on the screen here, this is the property. Here is the town of Erin, town of Hartford boundary. Waterford kind of goes up to the northwest here. This parcel is currently 19.27 acres. They are looking to split off 2 parcels at about 1.46 acres each. Again, because of the intergovernmental agreement between the city of Hartford and the town of Hartford, it gives us the extraterritorial zoning authority. For the most part, this meets all the requirements of section 13.1702 paren B. The only issue that we ever found with this was that if you look at our comprehensive plan, for some odd reason, our 20-year service boundary goes down to that property. Our comprehensive plan indicates that the density should be less than one dwelling unit per acre. So it's actually a little less dense than what our comprehensive plan would recommend. But due to the fact that we don't foresee any expansion within that area for the remainder of the time, and plus its location right along Waterford, that there won't be any future issues with the split of these 2 properties. Any additional splits, we'd have to further review, especially if they go larger than acre and a half. If they start doing 5-acre lots, I don't think that would be beneficial to the city, but at this time, 1.5 acre lots match pretty much what's going on, and then you have Druid Lake down here with the much smaller lots and stuff like that. So again, we recommend approval of the CSM.
Okay, thank you. Questions for staff? I do have a question, so go ahead, please.
There was one thing, on the CSM, there is a shared driveway. The one thing that we are asking is that that be removed, because in the long run, shared driveways become an issue, especially when the neighbors don't get along. They might get along now.
Does that happen? Oh,
It never happens, but
Never
it
happens.
might.
Absolutely. Okay, Mike, so these, the plan is on both of these lots, you're talking single-family homes?
Yes, single-family homes.
Okay, now, interesting, you said 1.5 acre in your little thing, but
Yep.
these are both over 2 acres.
I have them
Did I
at,
hear that wrong?
they're at about 1.4 acres each.
okay.
Our future land use plan for this area, this is probably the furthest extent of our future land use plan for the city of Hartford. They have it at about less than one. It's, if I recall correctly, let me pull that up. 1.1 to 2.9 dwelling units per acre. So this is actually less dense than what our comprehensive plan is recommending. But due to the fact that this is so far out, we don't foresee it being an issue, just because it's not a big leap in
Now,
density.
seeing it's so far out, I just have a question. Can they have more than 4 chickens?
We'll let the town regulate that.
Just had to ask.
Good
Okay.
catch.
With that, again, any questions for staff? If not, would look for a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Joe, second by Ralph. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 8, this is the discussion of a concept plan for the novel property, Newman Development Subdivision on North Main Street. Now, please understand that there is no action here. This is purely informative, so we have an idea of what's coming up later. So with that, knowing that we are done with things we will be voting on, I just wanted to introduce Steve. Are you taking this?
Sure, I can.
Okay, Steve Volkert, City Administrator.
So again, the plat review, which you have in front of you, concept plan in front of you, I should say, is relatively, comes very close to what was proposed to you prior to this. We've seen several different plans for this property. This comes very close to what you've seen in the past. In there, you have 4 cul-de-sacs and 111 total lots in that area. This will be primarily single-family use for this area. And again, they are addressing the stormwater needs you see with 3 ponds that are located on the north, south, and east side of the lot. So again, tonight, the purpose of this is just to bring it forward, and feel free to ask any questions if you have any.
You're welcome to ask Steve directly if you do have any questions. If not, go ahead, please.
Hey, Steve, I think we had talked about that subdivision like maybe 5, 6 years ago, Jason and Justin and myself and you. At that time, I think they were talking about they'd probably need a pump station, sewage pump station to get to the gravity on North Main. And I don't know if anything's changed, but, and I know one of the things we had talked about at that time was unrelated to the subdivision, but was looking at if there's going to be future growth to the north of there, that we would size that pump station for that, where the city picks up that portion of the cost of upsizing the pump station. But I just wanted to mention it because it's worth, future discussion.
Thank you.
Absolutely, it's a great reminder, Dave, that again, if in the future we do have growth to the north, that we'll be able to address that. And we'll also look at doing that with the other utilities that will be along North Main Street also, as far as your sanitary and your water. So thank you for that, Dave.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ralph.
How much land to the north would have to be pumped in, sized for that?
Total acreage on this is?
So the total area is 85.43 acres for the entire subdivision, but the actual development footprint is approximately 26.3 acres.
So there's that much more property north.
On this, so looking here, most of the undevelopable area is on the eastern side, and we haven't calculated into areas that haven't annexed in. We're just looking at what is annexed into the city, and about, the Neville property is about 85 acres, 85 and a half acres. But again, the portion that's actually being developed is 26.3 acres.
Right, that I got off the.
Yep.
But I'm just like Dave was saying, you've got future property out there that could go into that same.
Yeah, it's just that when you put a, you put a wet well in, you put it in today's dollars and 10 years from now, if you have to put upsize that or put a second station in, that's, the cost is, it's worth,
Doing it now.
sizing it now for future, if you can.
Yep.
So,
Makes sense.
Agreed.
Super.
My name's Steve
Yeah, let me introduce.
Thank you.
Steve is here with Newman Builders, who is the one who is presenting that tonight.
Okay, Steve, if you would just state your full name and the company and address, that'd be great.
Great. I'm Steve DeClean with Newman Developments, N27 W24025 Paul Court in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the comments. Our expectation is no lift station's going to be needed. So that's kind of news to me, so I do think we need to vet that. Can you give me a little more information?
I know.
I'd just like to give a little background. Could you describe what Dave did, so he has so Steve has a knowledge of who he's dealing with, just so you know? I mean, we're not just.
Dave was our former sewer utility director,
Okay.
wastewater utility director.
And you're under the impression that there
Well,
needs to be a lift station
when,
installed here?
Mr. Neville was talking about developing that, what was that, Steve, I think maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago?
At least.
That, at that time, I know the engineering firms had did the, coming in North Main, and it wouldn't make, they had two options. One of them they were looking at was putting grinder pumps in all the homes out there, and the city staff really wasn't for that. We'd rather maintain one pump station than have all these grinder pumps going out at once and causing issues. So at that time, it didn't make gravity. They were talking about some kind of a lift to get it down to North Main,
Okay.
unless unless the lay of the land has changed since.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll,
that earthquake kind of shifted things.
we'll get some information on that. Our expectation is that it is going to flow by gravity. We do know that we're going to need to get some fill on the east side of that site. We know that's going to be a future phase, and we're going to need to build that up a little bit. But as we're sitting here proposing this, our expectation is we won't need a lift station.
Okay.
They're, as you noted, they're getting more and more expensive every day.
Oh, yeah,
And
no,
it's-
and that's why, what we were talking about, as far as if there's gonna be any expansion, that's why I brought it up, is that, every year you wait, the cost obviously goes up,
Right on.
so.
Yep, great, thank you. I'm just gonna stay up here just in case anything else comes up.
That's fine. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Yeah, no, I just, I know back when we did have they proposed a site plan initially, as a commission, we turned it down because of the fact that we were looking for more of all single family, and that's what it looks like you're putting in this one. So I believe for the commission, and that's what we asked for, this is a much more favorable proposal coming in. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, that's correct. On the north end, where the two cul-de-sacs are, that was duplex, and that was a private road.
Yeah.
On the previous plat or plan, yeah.
Good.
Are there, in these cul-de-sacs you have here, are there plantings in the middle? Turn his mic on.
There you go, Mike. There you go. You're
Okay.
done.
I'm good. I see, in all the cul-de-sacs you have here, do you have plantings in the middle of them? Are these just blacktop?
I'm not sure what the city spec is on there. We're sort of order takers as far as that goes. If you typically have soft centers, we're happy to do it. If you typically have asphalt, we're happy to do that.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because some of our other subdivisions, one lot got assigned the plantings in the middle to take care of them. I was just wondering,
I'm not aware of that subdivision, but if there are centers, they would be an outlot, which would be under the maintenance of the entire house or homeowners association, or the whole
undertaken-
subdivision. They would be a percentage ownership, so 1/111th ownership for each property owner to make a whole number for the ownership of the outlots for
because
the
I know I'm
outlot.
taking care of the one by us. And it wasn't assigned to me either at the time. You
We-
don't get anybody else helping. You gotta,
You
someone-
big teddy bear.
I know.
Jacob's
I'm just trying to-
Jacob's absolutely right. As a matter of practice, if municipalities prefer soft centers in their cul-de-sacs, they're always deeded to an HOA and maintained by an HOA. For every 50% of municipalities hate soft centers and the other ones demand soft centers. We like them both. We're agnostic. So if you do have soft centers, they would be maintained by the HOA.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Steve and Steve, if it'll help you out, I believe SEH was the consulting firm that was working on that with Jason and myself back then, Steve, so, I mean, they may be able to shed some light on it for you.
Good friends of the firm. They're the ones that did that concept plan too.
Okay. Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else?
Tony?
Tony, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
What is the current, just curious, there's two entrances here off of Main Street to this. What's the current speed limit in that area? Do we know? And is it something we need to consider as a result of? this being added in there?
I couldn't tell you what the speed limit is out there. I'm guessing 35. But we'd have to take a look to see, I mean, it's once the building would start, we'd look at what the change would have to be.
Okay.
Based on the residential level
Okay.
in that area.
I think it's 55 up there. By the,
You think it's 55?
up kind of where the entrances would start. It's 35 prior to that, and then
Okay.
55.
We're also undergoing a jurisdictional transfer with the town for that right away. Once we have control of that, we then can limit the speeds at a more, we would then have the ability to limit speeds or do a traffic study, whereas if they're not in our control, we don't have a say on speed limits.
Good, thank you.
Okay, anything to go over, Steve, for the concept plan? Is that? Steve?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I said, anything else to go over as regards to the
Nope.
concept plan, Newman Development? That's, we're all square?
Yep, just taking down notes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 9, planners report. That would be our city planner, Jason Moss, or Jacob Moss, either one of you.
Okay, so tonight we're looking at Article 5, which is the specific procedural requirements. This is how things get reviewed by you guys. So site plan, and it's mostly based off of our current zoning code, so there's not too much change. However, there is an architectural plan review portion of this. The city of Hartford does not have an architectural control board. So when a site plan comes to you guys, there will be a separate agenda item for architectural review that will be voted upon. So that way we're not denying the site plan procedures, so they can move forward to start like getting an early build permit. But yet they'd still have to come back if you don't like the architectural portion of it, to come back and have that re-reviewed. But for the most part, it follows a lot of the same or similar steps that are currently undergone by the Plan Commission in the procedural for this group. So it's outside of the architectural. Again, there's stuff on wireless telecommunications, just due to the fact that that is an ever-growing process, and it's heavily regulated by the state as well as the federal government, so it involves shot clocks and timelines and stuff like that. So there's a lot of procedural stuff with wireless communication facilities. So again, it's something new for us, but it's heavily regulated by how we are controlled in doing that. So moving forward, this will help guide us through that process. So these are kind of the new components to the procedural process that we haven't really been doing before. But overall, it will help, and there's a good step-by-step guideline in these procedural packets here, so it will be informative not only for you guys, but also citizens that are applying for, such as a zoning permit or a site plan review. What are the process, what are the steps, and it should help guide them to an easier go through the Plan Commission and any other additional review by either the Common Council. So overall, I like how we're moving forward on the procedural processes.
Well, thank you for continuing to keep us up to date. I really appreciate that. It does make it a little easier rather than the classic line, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that makes it a lot easier than to have a War and Peace dropped in front of us and say, here, what do you guys think? So, super, thank you very much. With that, we stand adjourned for the call of the chair. Thank you.